these powerful testimonies and these powerful women that are presenting today. I will read a short text to introduce this afternoon. Welcome to IDIOMARTE. It's wonderful to see many faces that are familiar and new faces. And it's inspiring to feel how this house continues to grow with our objective to be more empathic, to bring society more clarity, to be a human. Thank you to everyone at IDIOMARTE to help bring this production and everything we do. I'd also like to thank Deana Culp for choosing this house, your house, IDIOMARTE, as a place to host this powerful event, and for her tireless dedication to and love for this play. And to the cast, who have spent many hours owning their roles and pouring their hearts into the stories of the woman that we are about to meet today. Days like this remind us how powerful it is to gather together in a space that feels welcoming and safe, a place where stories can be shared and heard. In 2006, Seven was created from verbatim interviews with women activists from around the world. The play was writing to be performed without limits of race, nationality, language, or even gender. Since then, it has been presented in 42 countries and in more than 30 languages by both men and women, government, ministers, artists, activist groups, dignitaries, theater companies, and even made generals. So you see, it's not about who tells the stories, it's about the words that matter. The women you see here today give voice to them. Each performer will share the story of one remarkable woman and will at the times help bring the others' stories to live on stage. Today's performance is also a fundraiser for Casa María Amor and Mujeres con Éxito. They are an example in Cuenca. I am super proud to know this experience closely. And there is an extra donation if you want to give on this jar. This is going to be directly for this purpose, for Casa María Amor. They have begun in 2004 in response to the urgent need for a safe refuge for women experiencing gender-based violence in Cuenca. In Azuay, I can say, the impact is growing and growing. In 2010, it became an independent foundation and has since expanded beyond emergency shelter to offer holistic support, legal, psychological, social, and economic, helping survivors reclaim their lives. Before we begin, we would like to share a short message from Diana Vázquez Bravo, Director of Mujeres con Éxito. Dear friends, I regret not being able to join you in person today, but my heart is there with all of you. While you celebrate, I am in New York representing the María Amor Foundation at the United States Commission on the Status of Women. As members of the board of directors of the Global Network of Women's Shelters, we are here to raise our voices for Latin American women. My mission as this global forum is clear: to highlight the urgent need for funding protection policies, to demand real access to justice, and to position women's shelter as essential life-saving services. I want to express my deepest gratitude to each of you for attending the performance of Seven, and a very special thank you to Deana Culp and IDIOMARTE team, mainly Sarah Helen Bowers, that she's sick and sends you a big hug too, and myself, Diana Moscoso, for their support of our organization for several years. Also to Susan McBride, that I know she's here. Awesome. She has led this great network of allies for more than 11 years. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all. Every dollar raised today goes directly toward our annual campaign for school supplies and uniforms. At the Foundation, we are convinced that education is not only a fundamental right, but also the most powerful tool for our children to break the cycle of violence. Thank you for being part of this life transformation mission. Please enjoy this evening. With that gratitude and affection, Deana Vasquez. You are welcome to take photos and videos, but please be mindful with the people around you because we want to have space for everyone. And please turn off your flashes and your phones in silent mode because you will see we want to create this environment for you. Now, thank you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hafsat, Abiola, Nigeria.
Musaku, Cambodia.
Anabella, Guatemala.
Inez McCormick, Northern Ireland.
Farida Assisi, Afghanistan.
Marina Piskakova, Russia.
Mukhtar Mai, Pakistan.
So now we're sitting around together in North Belfast in a small dark room in a community hall, sewage coming up the sinks. And these women, they've all survived the worst, you know? And we're reading the Declaration of Human Rights out loud until we get to the word inalienable. And it's hard to pronounce. So they start laughing and think I said alien, and maybe I'm talking about outer space. And I say, it's hard to spell too. But what does it mean anyhow? One woman asks me. That word inalienable, it means all these rights we're reading, they're a part of every human being. What do we have to do to get these rights? They're yours, I tell him. He looks at me amazed. Well, that's the best fucking kept secret in the whole world, all I can say.
On the days I give audience, Monday and Friday, oh my God, you can't imagine. You can't enter my office. Line, groups of people, 20, 40 people are waiting to talk to me. They come from all over the Republic. What happened?
I need medicine for my mother. She's very old.
Mary, please get me director the Hospital General. Mrs. Posada needs medicine and they don't give her any. I have a phone now with no wire. El director del hospital? Anabella Deavere. How are you? Fine? Fine. Everybody takes my calls because they know I am not playing. Here is Mrs. Posada. You didn't give her medicine for her mother. She is presenting to me the prescription this moment. I need you to solve this problem, okay? You say, you're going to send me the medicine? No, no. She's going to go there now. You will give her the medicine, and she's going to call me again when she has the medicine, okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Because if you don't give her the medicine, I'm going to call you to the plenary, okay? Bye-bye. Your problem is solved. Please call me when you have your medicine. Okay, what's next?
In the night wind, when I think of home, I think in mountain shadows as I hide on the borders of Afghanistan. It is always the faces of the women that guide me through the landmines. I see a woman giving birth all by herself. what can I do? The only way to bring medicines to these women is to walk many times at night to regions so remote. So I smuggled myself and my two small sons under my burqa to try to bring healthcare. When I see the mujahideen watching me across the mountains, I see that not all of them are against the women. Sometimes they tell us where the landmines are or not, where to go a certain way, because they might be thieves.
A crisis center for women. How may I help you?
I heard you on the radio.
You did?
I heard you on the radio. You were telling my story.
Yes.
My husband is beating me. He has beaten me for 26 years.
Where are you?
I'm in bed with a broken back from him beating me.
Tell me your address.
I heard your voice. You sounded like someone I could trust.
Tell me how to get to you so I can send help.
Girl, my husband is very powerful. He's in one of the government agencies.
I will come and bring police.
Oh, no, girl. You don't understand. If you call someone, you will find out.
She calls for about a month. Then she stops calling. She is one of the ones I could not save.
Kumok are malicious spirits, and the prolong is the soul. All these years, I did not know that in our culture in Cambodia, we have 19 souls, a soul for every part of the body, our hair, our feet. I ask victims of trafficking, when did you lose the soul? They say their souls left when the traffickers took them from their families. That their souls are still in the rice fields. When you are raped, you lose your prolong. Someone takes it away. I've been working with trafficked women since I became the Minister of Women's Affairs in 1998. Until that time, only men held that position. The first thing I did was challenge an old Cambodian proverb. A man is gold. A woman is a white piece of cloth. Think of it. If you drop a piece of gold in the mud, you can clean it and it's shinier than before. But if a piece of cloth is stained, it is ruined. If you've lost your virginity, you cannot be a white piece of cloth again. Each year, more than 30,000 Cambodian children are sent into prostitution. Girls as young as 11 are promised jobs to help their poor families, and then they are taken away to become sex workers. I'm working now with one of them, a girl called Moni.
How did I come to speak out? Well, I was living in the United States, and you know how American society is. I mean, very nice people, but they don't know a lot about other places, even parts of America or Canada, their closest neighbor. So what's the chance that they're gonna know about Nigeria and care? It was 1995, and I was in Harvard in my second year. I just finished when I see students petitioning, and I know it's gonna be something really ridiculous, like the right to walk barefoot on campus on Sundays. And I'm trying to avoid them, but they're very persistent, and they stop me, and only because I'm Black, they say to me, we have a petition. The elected president of Nigeria is in jail, and we're getting signatures. And I say to them, do you know you're getting signatures for my father? And of course they don't know, but they get excited and they say, could I speak to a group on their campus about the situation in Nigeria? I thought I'd be speaking to a vacuum that nobody would hear, but they cared and listened. And that is how I began to find my voice.
My father took me away from school at 16 and put me to work as a clerk in his one-man printing business. It was very constricting. I wanted to go to university, and I knew my family wouldn't let me, so I left home. I got a bedsit, and I applied for a lowly civil servant position. At the interview, I'm asked,
What do you think of homosexuals?
what?
What would you do if your brother married a black woman?
Offensive questions that are not the real question, which is, what do you think about Catholics? I am from a Unionist Protestant background. I would not have known a Catholic until I was 18. I remember a conversation in the office about a Catholic who'd gone for promotion and how you couldn't have that because Catholics couldn't be trusted. And that's when I realized the conversation could only take place because there weren't any Catholics in the office. Northern Ireland was a profoundly unjust place to live. It still is. It's a very cold house for the poor. In the North, if you challenge injustice and you're not on the side of the status quo, you have to be on the other side. A very rigid power system. I remember a relative of mine saying,
Inez, you've no right to upset us like this.
and you've no right to live in a way that upsets others.
There it is.
Here is a chart I made up. In 1954, I was born. You see here, I call it darkness. That's followed by sorrow, my childhood, then basic knowledge where I learned everything. And I call it enthusiasm and courage. No playing is my school days. I won excellent grades, which helped me to win a scholarship to study law. Discrimination is that period of my going to law school. My scholarship was to a private university. When I go there, my classmates discriminate to me because they have money and I am poor people. They say to me, "You must go to public university. You are not in our circle." I tell them, just because you say to me I must not go here, forget it, bye-bye. I don't know what it is to be silent. I am all the time defending my rights. So I tell them, you do not have the same between the ears as I have. If you discriminate to me for being poor or being woman, I am going to discriminate to you for being stupid.
We go through the ceremony of the calling of the souls, now for Monique. She has been rescued from a brothel. We have to call 19 times. I hold a ladle to call her souls into a small fishing basket.
Oh, precious Fraulein, what you see today to be the riverbank is actually total darkness. You must beware of all the trees which harbor evil spirits in disguise.
We wrap her wrist with 19 cotton strings, one for each of the souls.
I am tying strings around your wrist and around mine to unite you with your relatives, old and young, grandmothers and grandfathers. May each string bring back your soul, and may your mind and body be whole.
The entire time, she says almost nothing. She's a kid, a beautiful child, that smile and everything, but she's lost. You can see it. Just looking at her, you know that she is soulless. It is a form of emptiness and depression. When you ask about that moment, that painful moment when she was penetrated and forced, she just keeps saying,
I lost my soul. He took away my soul.
I am
finishing my call,
O 19 souls, come back all together now. Oh yes, I think it matters the nature of your soul. I think of my soul as light field. Not that I'm some kind of psychic person, but I believe there's much more light than darkness. It matters to me that I shouldn't be vindictive or harbor ill will for people. When you experience brutal events, you can start feeling very hostile and bitter, and that's a lot of dark energy I don't want.
At my son's school, Peter was 7 years old, first grade. We mothers would let the kids go in and then we would stand around and talk about school, other things. I was assigned to the Institute for Socioeconomic Studies of the population at the time, and one morning I am talking to two other women. One is a homemaker, the other is computer programmer. I say, you know, I am doing a survey at the Institute, and we have these letters coming in. Women talking about domestic violence.
Domestic violence?
What do you mean?
When I was growing up in Soviet Union, no one talked of such things. We did not even have words for it. So I explained to them, when husbands are controlling, jealous, when they put you down and won't let you speak to other women or your family, isolating you, and the emotional abuse, the psychological pressure slowly comes to physical abuse, and sometimes not so slowly. After I explain to them, both of them say their husbands are abusing them, one for 6 years, one for 10. I feel something sinking inside me. Later, the one who is homemaker calls me, crying.
My husband was putting on his suit and a button came off. And he picked up his shoe and slammed me in the face in front of the children.
Her face is bruised and swollen for a week. Why don't you just leave him?
You know, where would I go?
So I call social services, I call different agencies, and I ask, who can help a woman in a situation like this? And everywhere, the answer is no one. It's private matter. Well, I am not ready to accept that. So I get an office and a phone and set up the domestic violence hotline. Actually, I call it a trust line because all the women could do is trust.
It is so hard. I am all the time declaiming, denouncing, but they don't investigate anything. Impunity is the queen of Guatemala. When the law has no consequences, then everyone thinks, I can do whatever I want. I can steal, I can murder, I can beat up my wife. The domestic violence is going to be a crime very soon because we are pushing to create this law. But we need the judges to comply because we need to stop the violence against women. This year, 2,500 women have been murdered. They were born, they were good, and now they're dead.
In Russia, 14,000 women every year are killed by their husbands. One woman every hour. For a long time, it is just me alone on the phone counseling people, trying to help them find legal aid. And I cannot do what a normal hotline could do. I am the only person doing this in all of Russia.
If there is no clinic, no hospital, no transportation, there is nothing. So we need to train the women on the vaccination, sanitation, and nutrition. We make a basic midwife toolkit with nail cutters, soap to clean the hands, gloves, a plastic sheet for giving birth, scissors to cut the umbilical cord, and things for measuring the fever. We even coordinate this with the Taliban. I always tell them openly what is the project, how it will benefit the woman, what is the budget, and what is the impact. The Taliban say, okay, well, we will let you have your project if you will teach the women the Quranic verses and about the prayers. We say it's okay, it's fine. Then they accept us. We put all the materials inside the midwife basic toolkit. And we put there how to pray, how to clean the house, how to make the husband happy, how to respect the elders. Women has to know all these things.
The calling of the soul ceremony. I do it because, it's part of my culture. But do I really believe in it? I don't think so. I love my culture and my tradition, but it tells you that if you've lost your soul, you deserve it. And if you've been tortured or raped or battered, it's your karma. So if you believe in this, you might as well say, that's it. That's the end of my life. The most painful part for me is when the children say, give me the soul back. I translate that into a fight for justice. I say, help me win her case against the trafficker. That will be justice. And she does win. The trafficker and the brothel owner are found guilty and sent to jail. But the man who first raped her has never been found. So in that sense, Monique's soul can never return to her. These victims will be whole again only when they feel free from being raped again, sold again, and that the man will not come back and harm them again. But if the man lives next door, we gave Monique everything. She came and lived with us, but she just couldn't. She ran away, cut herself totally off from her family. She is now somewhere else, in some other brothel.
In my society, the name they give you at birth shows you how much they value you. So my name, Hafsat, means the treasured one. My dad called all of his daughters supergirls, but I had big self-esteem issues. My mom was a legendary beauty, and she was one of 4 wives, and there were 19 children. And there's many elements of growing up in a polygamous family that are wonderful, because you've got ready-made friends, but it's inevitable that you get compared. Everyone knows how brilliant my father was. I mean, very genius. And then my sister, Aio, she was kind of walking in his footsteps, and there I was, average. I think once I came out of Nigeria, I realized it was okay to be different. And I used that time away to build my own sense of who Hafsat is.
My great aunt had the honor of naming all the children in my family. She called me Mukhtar, which means powerful or self-respecting. And that was always strange for me because I am very thin. And in my culture, a thin person is considered weak. My village is Mirwala in the southern part of Pakistan, one of the poorest areas in the Punjab. We are from the Gujars, a peasant tribe of low caste. Like other girls, I played with dolls and climbed trees, but all daughters must learn special jobs so they will be useful to their families. I was taught to do embroidery. People brought fabric to me, and I would design and sew their their shirts and trousers. Oh, I also grew flowers and plants, and that is something I still love to do. Last year, I planted jasmine and started some fruit trees too, but the goats came. They ate up the mango and lemon trees, and so I replanted them, but the goats came again and again. They did not know that I am just as stubborn as they are. Whatever they do, I am going to keep on with the plantings, and one day I think the goats will just give up and my trees will have the victory. My village had no school, and no one in my family could read or write. I learned the things my mother had learned, and her mother before her, how to do housework, fetch water from the pump, make chapatis, hang the clothing to dry on palm trees. I did not have any idea that in other places, girls were being educated. I did not know that I had been taught nothing about the world. No, I was taught something. All girls were. I was taught silence. I was taught fear. I was taught that some people are high up and some are inferior. I learned to hide my face and bow my head, to submit, to agree, to obey my parents, and stay away from boys. That is all that I knew. But time caught me and gave me a lesson.
The war in Vietnam, we never thought it would come to Cambodia. We were listening to the Beatles, and it came. My mother and father put me on a plane to France. I left the family. I was 18, and I was so desperate. Like, this river is bending, but which rock do I hold on to? There was no rock, and it was moving very fast. I never went back. From an innocent teenager to a refugee, hopeless, and an orphan.
If you start in 1980 in Afghanistan, where I was born, I was there until the age of 9. But because my father was a doctor, we were in danger. He tried to help too many women and children crowding into our house under the Russian rocket fire. And then the day there came a hole into our living room. We had to flee the cabin. We had to flee the Russians, and then flee the Taliban in 1993. Panicked by the thousands that time pushing to escape. No transportation. All roads were closed or blown up. We saw some people drenched with blood, not from their own wounds, but walking from the bodies of the dead. We could only crouch down in the snows until there was this fire. How could I know that my family will live in a Pakistani refugee camp for 15 years? The best years of my youth?
My husband and I are on our first vacation in years in Finland. We go mountain skiing, and he feels tired. He says, I'll go and take a nap. And suddenly, I realize his nap is getting too long. When I find him, he is still alive, but in the emergency room, they are not able to save him. Heart attack. He is 37. I am 33. He was the only one at the time who was supporting my mission. I am alone. I wonder, do I have the strength to do this work?
My mother, my brother, and me lived together in a small dark room. From a little window, I could look out and see my mother cooking. I still remember when I was very young, watching her stooped over a pot, cooking a meal for us. Each night we eat black beans, frijoles with tortillas. I saw a woman go over to her little outdoor kitchen, and throw dirt in the pot my mother was stirring. Our family's food for the day was damaged, our only meal, and my mother began to sob. I was young, but I knew I wanted to get out of that world. A world where the women, being so angry and homeless, they throw dirt in your food. Or like my mother, all the time in silence, praying and crying. It is this beginning of my life that is responsible for my way of being.
The city of Deavere is on this hill surrounded by walls with cannons overlooking the town square. And at the bottom of the hill is this collection of streets known as the Bogside. Long ago, it would have been for very poor people, Catholics coming in from rural areas, the poorest of the poor. Families lived in one room, the damp coming down the walls. I remember being told, looking down at the Bogside from the hill of McGee, "Don't go down there." And now, I am married to a Catholic from down there. It was the summer of '68 when I met him. I went to London. I walk into this bar, and there's a guy with a Deavere accent selling drinks. I buy a drink. And I'm still married to him. He was much more politically aware. Listening to him talk about the North, I began to glimpse this other, darker world. We hitched to Portugal, and on the TV at the youth hostel, we saw the first huge civil rights demonstration in Deavere. I saw my husband's face go white. People were beaten off the streets. We hitched straight back home. I was in the same physical landscape, but I crossed over into another country.
Some men from the Mastoy tribe come to our house and say that my 12-year-old brother, Shakur, has committed zina with a girl from their clan and will go to jail. This crime that they put on Shakur means rape or sex before marriage and is punishable by death. My family is sure that the accusation is false, and later we find out that we are right. My little brother is the one who has been raped, and by the same men who are laying blame on him. But what can we do? The Mastoy are a higher caste than we are. They are landowners, so whatever they say is law. The men of the Jurga, our village council, meet to discuss the situation and decide that I, Mukhtar, must ask forgiveness for my brother. Well, if this will free him, I am happy to do it. It is twilight when I begin walking toward the farm of the Mastoys, holding my prayer book to my breast. My father and uncle go with me. We enter their compound with its high walls. The clan chief, Faiz Mohammed, and 4 other men are standing there with rifles, and behind them are many more men of their tribe. I lay down my shawl as a sign of submission. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the universe, the compassionate King of the day of reckoning. Thee only do we worship, and of thee only do we ask help. Guide us unto the right path. Amen. Then I look at Faiz, and I say, if my brother has offended you, I beg pardon for his action and beseech you to free him. Faiz glares at me with wild eyes, and now I understand. He will not forgive our family. He only wants to humiliate someone, and as always, it will be a woman. But never did I imagine
Well, I'd gotten a message early that morning that something had happened in Nigeria, and I thought it had to do with my dad. My older brother was in DC, so we all congregated at his home waiting for the word. Then I got a call from my sister, Aida.
Have you heard anything?
No,
Your mother was in an accident.
that was my mother, her stepmother. I wasn't worried because I knew my mom was very strong. I was waiting for, word about the extent of injuries, what they wanted us to do. And Ayo called me again later.
Have you heard anything?
No.
Hafsat, your mom is dead.
Four men pull me by my hair and arms and drag me into a windowless room. I'm thrown onto a dirt floor, a stable. The only animals there, the only brutes are those men. I scream for them to release me, but one man shows me his gun and the others hold me down. For more than an hour, I was raped by those four men of the Mastoi tribe. Men with shotguns forced my father and uncle to wait outside. I can still see them standing near the door helplessly while the men took turns, one after the other. Day and night, I tell you, night and day, every girl walks in terror of what happened to me. By the time we are 8, we know that a man can grab us whenever he pleases, take us to some dark place, push us down, break into our bodies, destroy our childhoods and our futures. Inside our homes, we feel safe. But when we go out, the fear takes hold of us day and night, night and day. It is like a vulture flying just above our heads whenever we walk or work or play. And when it happens, it is beyond any nightmare.
My mother wasn't in an accident. She'd just been assassinated. She was driving to a meeting with the Canadian ambassador because of the work of enrolling families and our allies in the democratic movement. This was in '96. My father was still in jail, and my mom had become the voice of the movement. She was driving in the streets when the car that had been tailing her was the soldiers, and they overtook her, and they shot the driver, and then they shot her, and in the head, just point blank. But I don't know that she even knew what was happening because it happened so fast. She probably would have been thinking that the noise was a flat tire or something. And they killed her.
When they are finished with me, I am thrown outside. My clothes are torn and I am nearly naked. I lie on the ground alone with my shame. My uncle and father help me to my feet and walk home with me past hundreds of townspeople. No one says a word to me as I go by. They all lower their eyes or stare at me with disgust. Now, I am unclean and dishonored in the eyes of the village tribal elders, my family, and the villagers. In that 1 hour, my life has been destroyed.
On the final day of the 90-mile Berntolet March, just outside Deavere on a narrow road, there is an ambush. 100 men come down the hills on the right hand, holding clubs with nails in them. Others come up from the river on the other side, to the left, and the police block us front and back to allow them to come at us. People start running, screaming. Now I'm in the front, but I mean, all you could do was keep walking, you know? And then, just as we come into Deavere, on a small, narrow street, stones are lobbed down on us and the police block the street so we have nowhere to run. I try to get into the doorway of a shop and of course it's locked. And I'm screaming as the blood runs down my face. But the shop assistants are just standing inside and they are laughing. And they're people from my background, you know? I mean, you'd have to dehumanize any group of people to demean them that way. Now I experience from the inside this paralyzing sense of powerlessness that comes from humiliation. I'm hit by a couple of men wielding heavy branches like clubs. When I go home, my neck and shoulders are badly bruised. My family was very distressed. But then comes the classic remark.
If you hadn't have been there, it wouldn't have happened.
I was suddenly an outsider in my family. I'd crossed a line. That march changed the shape of the rest of my life.
After 9 years of exile, I took the first chance to return to Asia in 1981 with the International Rescue Committee to work in the Thai Cambodian camps. With my team, I traveled to the jungle to bring supplies of food and clothing. We reached the refugee camp on the top of the hill, still run by the Khmer Rouge. Refugees are told to come outside the camp walls to collect the supplies we brought them. They are not allowed to speak. They march out in a line, dressed in the black pajamas the Khmer Rouge insists they wear. Just seeing the Khmer Rouge soldiers in their uniforms brings back the war. My parents, my friends, all gone. I want to free them. I want to free these people, these refugees. I now have a raging struggle to continue working in Cambodia, helping its people recover. I know from this moment on, my life is going to change.
For the next few days, I locked myself in my room. And my mother brings me food, but no one speaks to me about what happened, and I speak to no one. In my country, women do not talk about such degrading things with others. I knew about 3 other rapes that had taken place before mine. One woman complained to the police, but they dismissed her case. Another stayed home and never mentioned it again, and the 3rd woman killed herself. She swallowed a bottle of pesticide and died right then. Is that what I should do? I asked myself. In Pakistan, it is seen as more cowardly and shameful to stay alive than the rape itself. But in my heart, I do not believe that anyone in my family really wants me to die, especially my mother. I can see it in her eyes. I can feel it in her touch, that my pain is hers, that she suffers with me and wants me to go on living. But if I don't commit suicide, what will I do with my life?
All the time in the refugee camp, I dreamed towards school to learn to be a doctor like my father. But we couldn't go outside the tent. They might kidnap us or sell us to the warlords. We saw the windows of the school shut out and shut down. Finally, I'm so happy. I hold my first book in a refugee school. It is coming to me from the University of Nebraska.
5 bullets times 5 bombs is equal to 25 weapons. The orange color is the rocket, and the blue color is the stinger. The green is the Kalashnikovs.
Okay, answer these questions in your notebooks. If one mujahideen kills 4 Russians, how many mujahideen wake up, pray, and then go fight and kill the Russians? Draw an airplane bombing your house.
Here, you see the house is burning. The man is hurt and the children fearful from the fire.
Many $millions are spent to bring the messages of violence into refugee schools. There is not a lesson of what is a mother, what is a brother. My first book, it is the propaganda to become a warrior.
We got over 600 million from the West to repair the country. But no matter how much you bring, you cannot restore the soul. The war is never over. It's like you put acid on a person. The scars will always be there. You can build roads, you can demine the rice fields, but you cannot reconstruct the face. How can you put together a family that has been destroyed?
We need to start from scratch. The younger generation and I say education. Yes, you can build a building very easily, but it is better first to build the minds and then the building, so that the building should be safe in the mind.
When I started my work and would speak to the police, they would say, "Oh, come on, women don't feel loved if they're not beaten." I was astonished. He beats you, therefore he loves you. It's a Russian saying that comes from the 16th century, from Demostroy household rules, written rules stating how a household should be run.
The man is master of the house.
Everybody else is his servant.
A man should punish his wife to make her more obedient.
Don't beat her on the face because you won't be able to show her in public.
Don't beat her on the stomach if she's pregnant.
It's better to use the whip rather than a stick, because it will be more painful, so she'll learn her lesson better.
After beating her, show how much you love her, so she will understand the lesson deeper and appreciate you more.
He beats you, therefore he loves you. Since the 16th century, it has been an excuse.
My father left our little room when I was 3, but I loved him with all my heart. He was very emotional, like me, a handsome man, brave and strong-looking. But there was always trouble in his life, drinking and women. When I was 12, my father came to our house. "I have a new woman," he tells my mother. "I am going to introduce you to her, but don't say you are my wife. Only you are the mother of my 2 children." When he brings the woman to our home, mi madre says, "I am only the mother of his children. We don't have any relations." I was very angry. "You are both going to be punished for this because you are not saying the truth." And to my loving mother, "You don't have dignity as a woman."
One idea keeps pushing away the others. Maybe I can help the women of my country. Yes, that could be possible. So this is how I am thinking when I learned that my rape was not just an evil plot by the Mastoys, but was ordered by the tribal elders, the very men who are supposed to deliver justice and treat all women as if they were their daughters. Before my rape, girls were kidnapped off a street, or a man would force sex on a woman, but this time, the entire council had decided that I should be gang raped. They called it an honor revenge. Nowhere does the Quran say that Islam supports violence against women. This is why the imam tells the congregation in his Friday sermon,
The village council has sinned greatly in ordering this violation of Islamic law. The criminals responsible for the rape must be brought to justice. Mukhtar and her family should go to the police and file charges immediately.
I had never heard of the Constitution or realized I was a citizen of Pakistan and that citizens, even if they are women, have legal rights. In my whole life, I had never talked to a lawyer or a judge or a policeman, but this Mukhtar was not the same woman who had kneeled down to the Mastoys. Now, whatever happens to me, I am going to speak out.
Which newspaper did you say?
The New York Times. What is your reaction?
Excuse me, to what?
You don't know?
No, what is it?
Your father is dead.
You are mistaken. But she wasn't mistaken. My father was dead. He'd been in solitary confinement for 4 years, since the election. He was supposed to be released within days. He died in a meeting with the U.S. State Department and Nigerian government officials, probably poisoned. His presidential campaign had been called Hope 93, Farewell to Poverty. Our country was one of the poorest in the world because of the corruption of the leaders. For the first time in Nigeria's history, people had voted for the man, for the promise. But the military governments didn't want to leave. They offered money, access to oil fields, but they couldn't find a price that my father would accept. He wouldn't betray his democratic mandate from the people of Nigeria. They took his life, the same as with my mom.
8 days after the rape, I traveled to the police office in Jatoy, many miles away with my father and brothers. The policeman is sitting at his desk when I entered. He does not even raise his head to look at me.
Yes? What do you come to tell me? Your complaint?
I was by East Mohammed from the Mastoys. He ordered foreman to rape me.
No, this cannot be your report. You have not been raped. We know what happened. You must sign here.
But I don't know what it says.
We know. Sign it, I said.
But I can't. I don't know how to write my name.
So use your thumbprint like all the other women.
This is when I understand why we must have knowledge. If you are educated, you can fight for your rights. But if you are illiterate, how can you stop the injustice that falls down on you?
We don't really know what happened. Maybe we'll never know. And to be honest with you, it's not so important to know how they died. The most important thing is how they lived. And I'm taking up their legacy. I've named my organization after my mom, Kudrat. In Arabic, it means power. I'm working to show young women that they can have power and teach them how to reclaim it.
Now that I again live in Phnom Penh, my childhood memories flood back. That's where I learned to ride a bike. And that's where I learned how to swim. When rain came down in buckets, flooding the streets, my brother Song-Lee and I caught fish in huge jars to put on the third floor balcony. I used to accompany my mother to Mai, the large yellow outdoor market, where the stalls spilled outside into open air. I loved to wander through the long rows, staring at the piles of fish, fruit, vegetables. I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my mother cooking. At night, on the radio, we listened to opera. Rami Yama played for hours.
My brother used to play in a big hole, like a trench, that surrounded the sauna where we lived. He went in night school. I was all the time thinking, I need to study, I need to prepare. I tell my mother, one day I will have la giresilla, swivel chair, and many people under my command. My mother laughs and says, está bien para soñar. It's okay for you to dream. Now I am 3 times elected and sitting in my swivel chair.
My father was military pilot. My mother was a nurse. I grew up mostly in the northern part of Russia, in the polar area, Murmansk. In winters, I would go skiing with friends. For us to go 3-5 kilometers in the wild forest, that was normal. Really, we were not afraid of anything. In the summer, I would spend time with my grandparents who lived on the Black Sea. For me, swimming in a storm, jumping under big waves, swimming as far out as I could, where we could almost not see the shore, that was normal. I was first grandchild, first niece, first everything for everybody, so I got a lot of attention. I loved it. When you grow up, when you have happy childhood, you think that is normal. You don't realize, there is a different world out there.
When I walk along the borders of Afghanistan, I see so many red and pink flowers, both sides of the road. And I think, oh yes, my country is so beautiful. Then I see it is the poppies for the opium. I see the women in the poppy field carrying the cane side to side to the men, cutting until the fields come out and the opium blows through their hair, dresses, and mouth until they are addicted. In the north, women give a little bit pieces of opium to the children to calm them down. So in this way, they can weave the carpets for 10 hours a day. That's how the children start their own addiction. So we try to give them an awareness of the consequences and how the opium can destroy them.
I am brought before a judge. He sees how tired I am and he brings me a glass of water. Then he just asked me to describe every detail of what happened in the stable. I tell him things I have not even told my mother. Before I leave the courtroom, he says to hold fast to my courage. And the next morning when I wake up, there is such a racket outside my house. Reporters call out for me, women's groups, civil rights groups from all over the world. The Pakistan Human Rights Commission has demanded a full investigation and the press is supporting my lawsuit. But I hear my rapists are laughing at the whole thing. They think it is ridiculous, a poor peasant woman trying to fight the influence of the landowning Mastoys.
In Guatemala, corruption is in the police department, the ministry, the judicial branch, even the Supreme Court. In 2001, President Reyes used the National Printing Press to print false identity papers for his supporters so they could vote more than once. When the man who operated the printing press spoke out, his wife and daughter were attacked. When a key witness agreed to testify against him, he was shot dead. And when I denounced him, the Organization of American States mandated the government to provide protection for me. Every day, 4 bodyguards come to my house in the morning, and they are there with me until night.
Ballymurphy, It was and is one of the most deprived housing estates in West Belfast. I was placed in a small welfare office there in the early 70s, deliberately sending me and my two friends, 3 barely trained young hippie Protestant women, to an empty flat in the neighborhood of a shooting war between the IRA and the British Army, clearly designed to give them an excuse to close the office. We didn't know that. We knew nothing. We were known as the welfaries. All we did was, well, somebody comes in, a woman who has 2 disabled kids, and she's pregnant, and her husband has no job. And I am about to counsel her on her inadequacies, you know? That's why we write lots of vouchers for food and for other things, so the costs of this office suddenly go from 0 soon. We're suddenly ordered to be transferred. Our office is too dangerous. We just keep on going to work. And someone says I better join the union, so I do. And I'm elected shop steward of the welfaries, not just the 3 of us. Then I'm told to recruit more union members. And nobody's bothered with the part-time hospital cleaners, the school meals workers, women who'd go stand in front of tanks or shake down the bars of a prison to rescue their sons, but won't take on a boss because they feel powerless, you know? So I keep organizing, and they keep joining the union. When they go on strike, all decent people close their shops and join the huge picket lines.
What is the reason you want to fire these airport workers? Tell me in front of them.
We have constructed the airport and we don't need them.
They have worked in this airport for 30 years, and you're going to fire them? No, you are not. They have families, they have children, they need their work.
You want to cut the hospital cleaning budget? Why?
It is essential to good finance.
Are your pensions and your benefits going to be cut as well? Because 100 of you would cost as much as 10,000 of the women. No,
you must work out how these people can keep their jobs.
Bah!
Yay! So much of my work came from these women cleaners. The idea of it, to enable people on the powerless end, the bottom of the heap, the invisible, to be part of the making of change. That changes everything. That changes how they see themselves. And, well, that does change everything, you know?
In my country, poverty has a woman's face. They are the most damaged of the population, the most low in education. Myself and 13 congresswomen submitted a set of bills aimed at improving women's programs. When it comes time for the vote, the men in parliament hide in the bathroom. I open the door. The other women storm in, and we pull them out one by one. The male party members made me promise never to do this again. But the bills got passed.
The rapist stops laughing when the court orders them to pay an enormous fine and sentences them to death. Again, the news flies everywhere in my country and abroad. One day, I am told to report to a local office where I am given a check for 500,000 rupees, about $8,000, by a government official, a woman. She explains that it is a settlement for my pain, but maybe I think it is also a bribe for my silence. So I am about to hand back the check when I suddenly feel that God speaks through me. I don't need I need a school, I cry out. A school for girls in my village. They must learn to read and write and to know their rights as citizens. Help me. I implore this woman who has benefited from her education. Help me to build a school. She says, I may use the money any way I want. And so begins my new passion, my mission in life.
It is part of my culture in Nigeria to gather and listen to stories in our villages, tales by moonlight. So let me tell you one. It's a true story about a girl named Zeneb. She was just 15 years old when I met her, when she first rushed into our offices. She's thin, comes barely up to my shoulder, and looks like the wind could just blow her away. And the words rush out of her.
My parents, they want me to marry an old man from Saudi Arabia. I tell them no. I want to go to university. I won't marry that man.
You must, the parents insist. And they bring her to Nigeria where they'll put her on a transport to Saudi Arabia.
Wait. Do you want me to meet my husband looking like this? No. If I'm going, I must go to hair my getting done to look good for him.
The parents agree. And they leave her at the hairdresser's because you know those tiny braids that African women do? They take hours.
That's how I escape.
And she comes to us. We give her shelter and funds for school for a whole year. I try to speak to her parents and help them understand her dreams.
They will not understand. They say that I have shamed them.
She wants to be reconciled with them. So I decide we must try to give them back their respect. So on the birthday of the Prophet of Islam, Zeneb and
Hafsat and I, we travel together to my family's compound. Many people are gathered there. They reading the Quran as we enter. We just kneel, and Hafsat says,
on behalf of your daughter, I apologize for any shame she has brought upon your household.
my father is stirred, but say nothing.
Please. Zeneb will return to help your community when she becomes a doctor.
But he just stirs, all do. And the silence was frightening. And
Suddenly, her father reaches out and hugs her.
And hugs me. I was so happy.
And this story of Zeneb has spread far and wide. It's inspiring so many young girls to see how they too can choose their lives.
My life, it seems like a river with many bends. And it bends all the time, this river. I am now the Secretary General of the Opposition Party, seeking a seat in Parliament in the next election. Our party sign stands tall in the last stronghold of the Khmer Rouge. Landmines are still in the rice fields and in the forests. Malaria is widespread. I lead a team of rural women leaders to every house in 480 villages, bringing the message of democracy and justice. On the trail, we listen to stories of separation, stories of hunger and of fear. When I'm on the campaign trail, though, I love it. Being on a moto taxi, the ox cart, crossing the river on a boat, going to temples, talking to farmers and visiting Muslim communities. At my age, I am still discovering my own country. The opposition party can be the new government if the people of Cambodia will fight for it.
I set up a school in a field and go from house to house, pleading with parents to send their daughters to school. Every day, more little girls arrive with pencils and notebooks. They learn math, social studies, the English alphabet, Urdu, and the Quran. But we also teach them that women are equal with men. And all of us are human beings and must be treated with respect in society.
You really accord human rights when you respect those with whom you disagree. Recently, Israeli and Palestinian women came to Northern Ireland to share insights and devise strategies for peace building. When they first arrive, I can smell and feel the tension, the fear, the anger. After 30 years of struggle in the North, I learned you must not drown in your own pain. You must allow your humanity enough room to recognize the pain in the other.
When you grow up with love around you, that gives you internal freedom to share this love with others. It gives you an internal responsibility to share this love, and it gives you the ability to share it.
In the refugee camp, I worked in the Norwegian Food Aid Office. And we were supporting a small magazine called The Raven, that was for children, to spread peace messages instead of violence. And then a man came to the office.
You know, this rainbow that has a pigeon on top, and these two hands, they're Christian signs. This shows a political agenda. They want the people to be Christian.
I am a Muslim. I work here, and no one forces me to be a Christian. I work for human beings who suffer a lot, that's all.
I know Islamic and Pakistani intelligence. I have their support, and I, myself, I'm a member of the intelligence. If you don't stop this magazine, I will destroy your office. I can do anything to you and your family.
Here I am. Whatever you can do to me, you can do it. My work is for needy people, and you are not a needy people, so get out of here.
I will see you. I will do what I can to you. You will never come back to Afghanistan again.
The man keeps calling and calling every day. That time, that's what I was advised, that I have to leave Afghanistan for security of my children. That's what I heard.
Marina,
Yes?
the entrance to your apartment is very dark.
Excuse me, who are you?
I'm someone who was affected by your work.
Did I help your wife, your girlfriend?
It doesn't matter. I know where you live. Aren't you afraid that your son is alone in the street?
I feel that somebody has stuck a knife in my heart. He knows about my son, and it goes on for months. I don't allow Peter to answer the phone at home. I have my parents pick him up from school every day, or he goes to his friend's house, but he is never alone.
Aren't you afraid for your son?
I am afraid to enter the building.
Aren't you afraid? The entrance to your apartment is very dark.
Sometimes I just pray that the elevator will get back to the first floor fast, so I can run in and go.
If someone were to stick a knife in your back, or worse, a needle, you wouldn't know who did it.
Men, very strong, come to my office looking for me. They wear suits and coats to cover their guns. We are looking for Anabella. She is on the list. We know her death date.
I received death threats. The government revokes my passport, refuses to let me leave the country, places me under house arrest.
My car is surrounded by soldiers, paratroopers, my door flung open. I'm pulled out and thrown over the car, and they're screaming, "Who am I? What am I? What am I carrying?"
The police begin stalking me all the time, molestando. Stop your car.
One of them sticks a large gun hard between my legs and calls me a fucking bitch.
President Musharraf states, Since the Mukhtar Bibi case, all a woman has to do to become a millionaire is get herself raped and tell the press about it.
300 women set themselves on fire in Afghanistan.
My advisor is tortured. They break his fingers, burn his hands, take his eyes out, and they strangle him.
The husband put acid on her face and the side of her neck.
The woman covers baby with her body, but her husband keeps beating her. She asks for a divorce, but he says, I'll kill you and tell everyone you ran away with another man.
If she has abuse, she has no choice. You can come out of the house when you are dead.
Oh my God, I wouldn't care if I have to die in this fight. I have plenty of powerful enemies because those who fight corruption don't make too many friends. Sometimes I feel the sorrow, but I feel proud I am Congresswoman. I feel proud too that I am not dead.
At the end of the day, my father gave his life, and I think that's a very powerful message to give people who feel disempowered, that there is no price too high to pay to let you know that there is sanctity in your voice. And my mother, because she refused to stand for injustice in Nigeria, because of that, her spirit will live on.
My favorite time, believe it or not, is when it is snowing. Snow makes it beautiful around Red Square. This is the time to put myself together, to come to some harmony with myself, because if you are not in harmony with yourself, this is a very difficult job to do. When I started in 1993, there was only me, one crisis center. Now there are 160 crisis centers, shelters, organizations, a whole network.
I have opened 2 schools in Punjab province, and they are for boys as well as girls, because boys too must learn that under Islam, under the law, women have the same rights they do. And in Mirwala, where I almost killed myself, I have built a real schoolhouse with a library and 6 classrooms. The children come from many tribes, from low and high caste, from girls from the Gujars, and yes, we take even boys from the Mastoys.
There is story, we use it in training a lot. A guy is working along the river and he suddenly sees kids drowning. And he goes into the water and starts rescuing them. And another guy is working nearby and he's asking, what are you doing? The first guy says, I'm rescuing kids. Help me. And the guy gets into the water and starts teaching the kids swimming. And a third guy comes along and he turns around and starts running. And the 2 guys in the river say, wait, we need your help. Where are you going? And the third guy says, I want to see who's throwing the kids in the water in the first place. Right now, we are rescuing and teaching, but we are not yet working with the cause. It has to be deeper.
I wake up early in the morning, I take the shower, I go to the beauty parlor. Not for vanity's sake, chicas. My appearance is important because I must have a good face for the pueblos who are looking to me to speak out for them. When I was a child, I made a promise to myself. I am going to pull out my mother, my brother, and me from the poverty and leave this little dark room. And then I am going to pull out the women of Guatemala, the silent women, and the men who have no worth in their work. I say they must not stay in silence. No more silence.
I was the first student in my own school, and now I am in the 5th grade. For the rest of my life, I will never need to use my thumb to sign my homework or on anything else. Mukhtar. Powerful, self-respecting. Mukhtar.
We have a Farsi proverb, however the mountain is, it must have a way to the top that you can reach.
We shouldn't be resting. shouldn't be thinking we've tried our best. This just means our best is not good enough. We need to really step up. Women are the greatest untapped resource in Africa. We are the future.
If you put equal rights at the heart of things, you have to be sure everyone is at the table. You have to look and see who isn't there, who isn't being heard, and use your power to change that. Just take one small step forward. That first step is always the massive one.
Every day I see a woman, whether she is serving beer in a beer garden, is a sex worker, or a garment factory worker. They are my sisters, my friends, and my teachers. When people say, how do you wake up and do this after 25 years? And I say, you have to do it until the people who do not have a voice do.
We work to give women a voice.
Since 2006, these 7 women's stories, real stories, have been updated to the best of our knowledge.
Hafsat, Abiola, Nigeria. Hafsat's organization, Kudrat, continues to train thousands of women in service-oriented leadership. She is president of Women in Africa, the foremost platform on the continent for leading women into a force for sustainable development.
Musaku, Cambodia. In 2014, Musaku was arrested and charged with insurrection and incitement of violence while participating in peaceful and legal protests. After 3 years of self-imposed exile, the courts convicted her in an unfair trial, and she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. If she returns to Cambodia, she will be arrested. In 2005, Musaku was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Anabella de Leon, Guatemala. Anabella took the position of General Registrar of Property, and in 2019, the courts rejected a petition against her for embezzlement because of lack of evidence. She was jailed anyway, finally released, and continues her fight for women's rights.
Inez McCormick, Northern Ireland. In 2011, Newsweek magazine named Inez as one of the women who shaped the world. Shortly before her death, when asked why she did the work she did, Inez replied, "At the heart of everything, I desire to see the glint in a woman's eye who thought she was nobody when she realized she was somebody."
Farida Assisi, Afghanistan. In 2013, Farida went back to Herat to work with the women in the West Afghanistan, but her whereabouts is currently unknown. It is a disturbing fact. In Afghanistan, in 2021, the number of girls attending secondary school was 1.1 million. In Afghanistan today, the number of girls attending secondary school is 0.
Marina Pisklakova Parker. Marina continues to fight to pass legislation to criminalize domestic violence and to provide more shelters, legal aid, education, and coordinated services across Russia. Her focus also includes now, especially, women's vulnerability during war and after.
Mukhtar, Pakistan. Mukhtar's first school has grown into the girls' model school. Over 550 girls from nursery school through the 10th grade attend the school, where they receive free education, books, school supplies, and even transportation for all students and the teachers. Her women's welfare organization operates a resource center, a helpline, and a shelter that can hold up to 40 women that offers protection, medical aid, counseling, and legal support. There has been an opera written about Mukhtar. It's called Thumbprint.